Good afternoon. I'd like to welcome you to the Douglas County Chamber's Greystone Power Leadership Luncheon, sponsored by Creative Mischief and United Way of Greater Atlanta. I am Howard Ray with HRC Engineers, Surveyors, and Landscape Architects, and I'm your immediate past board chair. I would like to invite top 10 young professional, Davitrion Caldwell with Douglas County School System, to come forward and lead us in our invocation and pledge.
Good afternoon. If you'll please bow your heads for a word of prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for bringing us all here today. I ask you to continue to bless us, guide us, strengthen us, protect us. Thank you for bringing us all out here for a day of celebration, a day of acknowledgement, and a day of service, dear God. I ask that you continue to just bless us as we go through our lives. Continue to keep us all safe. We ask that before we leave this place, dear God, but never your presence, we ask that when we head homes, that we find our homes safe than when we left them, dear God. Also ask that you just continue to bless us, strengthen us, protect us. Bless this food that we've partaken in, let it be to the nourishment of our body. In Christ's name we pray, amen. I ask that you all please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
All right, next I would like to take this opportunity to recognize our elected officials, chamber board members, excuse me, visionary partners, chairman circle members, and chamber diplomats. If you would all just raise your hand, I'd like to say thank you for everything you do for this chamber. I am thrilled to introduce our newest 2020 visionary partner and co-sponsor of today's luncheon, Mr. Chris Sysmore, CEO with Creative Mischief.
Good afternoon. It is good to be out. I was just talking with Chris about how great it is to not do digital learning for at least an hour and a half, 2 hours with my kiddos. I love them to death, but Lord have mercy. As Howard said, my name is Chris Sysmore. I am a co-founder and CEO of Creative Mischief. We are a branding, marketing, and communications agency based out of Atlanta, but I've been partners with economic development and the chamber here for a number of years. So I am proud that I could co-sponsor this lunch today with one of my favorite community groups in the state. I also happen to be a board member of, but that is United Way. So I'm gonna sit down, finish my lunch, and let a true community winner and partner, United Way, get up here and give some praise. So thank y'all.
They need to be with me.
Here we go.
We're trying to do some filler time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Next, I would like to invite our luncheon co-sponsor, Ms. Nicole Lawson, with the Regional Director at United Way of Greater Atlanta. Please come forward and say a few words.
It's actually me, Howard.
Oh, I'm sorry, our own Breezy Straighton.
So, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Breezy Straighton with Douglas County Economic Development Authority, but also the 2020, and actually they didn't give me my term date, so I don't know how long I'm board chair for United Way of Douglas County, but I guess that is a good sign these days. So as community and business leaders, we are all asked to serve on various boards and commit to various initiatives in our community. And oftentimes we have to really look back and think about what value can you add to those organizations, and if your service to them will be of good service or will you just be spending time. So when United Way came to me a couple of years ago and asked if I would join their board, honestly, I was already on, 5 or 6, 7 boards at that time. And I didn't really know if I had the time and capacity and energy to give them the type of service that they needed in order to do the good work in Douglas County. But after talking with Bianca, and understanding how United Way works within communities and understanding that the time donated and the money donated really goes back into the community to make good impact and to help the lives of our residents, I really couldn't say no, especially after learning about a certain initiative called Kids Home. And I'm so excited that Amy is one of our young professionals being recognized today because she leads Kids Home initiative. And Kids Home is a program where they work with families and communities to keep them from being evicted. Homelessness is a chronic issue and often in communities, often leading to decreases in school performances, to lifelong poverty. And if we can have organizations like United Way and Kids Home Initiative work with those families to keep them in their home schools, to keep them in the home that they are in, to keep them in some kind of sustainable household, that is one less problem that those children have to face. And when we think about if a community is thriving, United Way always says, well, how are the children? Well, if your children are homeless, they're not performing well in school. They're hungry. They are worried about clean clothes and being made fun of at school. They're not worried about pursuing their education. And that's what we need in our communities. We need children focused on children things like spelling tests and mathematical timetables. And we don't need them worried about if they are hungry or whether their mom was able to pay the rent. So in Douglas County, last time I was told, United Way Kids Home Initiative supports 80 families. 80 families are kept in their school of origin, are kept in their homes because of that initiative. Not only do they keep them in their home, but those families then go through a 12-month program where they get financial education. They're taught about budgeting. They're taught about career choices. We work with them on workforce development initiatives so that those families can access family-sustaining wages in our community. But we can't do that without partners and funding. And so today, I'm going to ask you as business leaders, if you do not have a United Way employee contribution campaign in your business, please contact us. We can't do the good work of keeping families in their homes and children in their schools without it. If you are an individual person and are looking to, give some money because tax season is quickly approaching, we hope that you will consider donating to United Way. The United Way of Greater Atlanta supports 10 metro Atlanta communities, including Douglas County, and every dollar donated goes right back into our communities. So thank you for letting me join you all today. You are going to hear from my dear friend Casey Bethel, and I'm so excited for you to hear his inspiring words. But please reach out to United Way and see how you can partner with us to help grow Douglas County and keep us sustainable and thriving.
Thank you, Breezy. I wanted to share with you what I just asked her. And the question was, how much does one family funding need? And it was surprising to me. The number was 100,000. So let that soak in. You got 80 kids, 80 families, 100,000 each. The need's real. That's all I got. All right. At this time, that's my preacher moment for the day. All right. At this time, I'd like to introduce our today's keynote speaker. Mr. Casey Bethel is the K-12 Science and STEM Coordinator for Douglas County Schools. Prior to this role, Casey taught high school for science for 15 years, was the 2017 Georgia Teacher of the Year, and was a 2017 finalist for National Life Changer of the Year. He was also recognized as a 2015 Douglas County Top 10 Young Professional and 2017 Georgia Forward Young Game Changer. He is a passionate educator, an accomplished scientist, and a mentor to students of all ages. Casey speaks and blogs nationally on topics including student engagement, teacher retention, and equity in education. He is one of the University of Georgia's top 40 alumni under 40, go Jackets, and a member of the Fort Valley State Alumni Circle of Honor. Most importantly, Casey is proud to live, work, worship, and raise his 2 children here in Douglasville. Please welcome our own Casey Bethel.
Thank you for that. Go Dogs! Just to set the mood right in here. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so very much for that introduction. Thank you for the opportunity to be a part of today's amazing event. It's great to be here, but I'm like Chris Sysmore, it's just great to be anywhere after being locked in the house for the last 9 months. In fact, some of you, I think, have become unfamiliar with seeing real faces. So if that's you, take out your cell phone and I'll text you a Zoom link, and you can watch me like that if you like. You can just stare at me through your cell phone if that's what's become more comfortable. But more seriously, I was telling the table I was sitting next to how excited I am and how thankful I am that the Chamber did not skip past this event this year. In a year when many things have been postponed to future years, today's event is incredibly important. What it does in the lives of young professionals, what it does in the lives of our community, what it does for the future. So I want to thank Sarah, I want to thank Carly, Ruby, the Chamber Board, and everybody who had a hand in making this happen today. Let's give them a round of applause for that. Thank you very much. I need to recognize another group. Sitting to my left is quite a few representatives from the school board, the superintendent, many of our board members, the executive cabinet of the school board. Those, if you don't know, those are my bosses. So I'm under an immense amount of pressure up here. I feel like I'm auditioning to keep my job. I hope that's not true, but anyway, y'all say a prayer for me. Thank y'all for being here. But the third, probably most important group today I want to recognize, just before I get to my comments, are the people who are going to be recognized and awarded today for their work, for their impact as the young professionals. I know we haven't had your names called yet and you haven't walked across the stage yet, but if you don't mind standing where you are, we promise to give you the loudest round of applause we can put together. Congratulations to you. Congratulations for having been honored for your work. Enjoy it. Celebrate it. But know that it's fleeting. I got this award 5 years ago. I think Breezy and I were in the class together. Breezy's been top professional like 7 times. Y'all should give her a round of applause for that. But I got this award back in 2015. 5 years ago, I had hair and my beard was black. I turned 40 last year, and now I come down the stairs one step at a time like my grandmama. So just know that being a young professional means a lot today. More importantly, with the time that I have, and I know I'm on a short clock, I want to talk to you about where do you go from here? Certainly I opened up today talking about what today means, to be recognized for your work, to be recognized for your impact. But what next? I remember when I was given this award 5 years ago, and I sat in the audience before my name was called, I sat there thinking, well, after you get over the why me, right? Like, why me, first of all? Then secondly, you think, well, what am I supposed to do now? I felt like a mantle was on my shoulder, like I was given this award, but I was expected to do something next. What next? What now? Where to go from here? I hope you feel like today's award is the beginning of something as much as it is the culmination or the celebration of something. And to help you answer that question, I'm going to share something with you personally. One of my favorite things to do in the last few years is to stand on my back porch. Not because I got a new brick porch or a new fire pit back there, but I like to stand on my back porch behind my yard because it's quiet back there and it's usually dark back there. As a single-parent dad of 8-year-old kids, I know you all can imagine that a quiet space is treasured property. But I stand in my backyard, usually at night, surprisingly. And the reason why I do that is because where I live in Douglasville, there's nothing behind me. No houses, no playground, just woods, which is actually kind of scary, right? I'm always thinking, like, what animals are, what just made the tree move back there? But my saving grace is that I'm usually not looking straight. I'm usually looking up. I stand in my backyard where it's quiet and where it's dark, and I stare up at the moon. Now, I'm not crazy. Stick with me. This story is going somewhere. I like to stare up at the moon. Truth. And I consider first how bright it is, then how big it is, then how far away it is, and then I can't believe that we've been there. I remember the fact that human beings have been to the moon. And as incomprehensible as that is for me, even as a science teacher, I can rest assured that we can celebrate man has set foot on the moon before. Now, what does that have to do with you? What does that have to do with where you're going to go from here? Or you might be sitting there thinking, why is he so enthralled by that, right? Like, so maybe I'm into this moon thing because one of my favorite trips, so when I was the state teacher of the year, I got to travel around the country, and we got to visit the Capitol, we got to visit San Diego, we got to visit Harvard, but my favorite trip, all of the other trips were about policy and about education and stuff like that. But one of my favorite trips was that they sent, at the end of our year, all the 50 state teachers of the year to the NASA Space Camp in Huntsville. So we spent a week there, and there wasn't a lot of pressure to learn about ed policy. It was just learning about what they'd accomplished. And maybe that's where my fascination with this moon trip got started. Stick with me, I'm going somewhere. Or maybe last year, you remember that last year we celebrated the 50th anniversary of the moon landing. 2019 was the 50th year. Or maybe because I've been reading more and more about space travel, and here's something, I don't want to geek out for a second, but now NASA's talking about the trip to Mars and what that means for us as human beings to go to Mars next. But did you know that the moon is important in that trip to Mars? I tell my kids who are 8 years old, I tell the high school kids that I teach, that if in comparing the moon and Mars, it might seem to us as lay people, as common folks, that that's easy, right? If we've been to the moon, we should be able to go to Mars. It's next. Well, no, if the moon was as close as that flagpole, then Mars is Marietta. It's exponentially further. What does that have to do with the moon? They're so incredibly smart in the way that they're setting it up. Their plan is to fly to the moon, drop off fuel there, and then the astronauts on their way to the Mars will stop to moon like a gas station, fill back up for the rest of the trip. Which gets me to why I brought up the moon in the first place. Our next trip to the moon, when we land there again 50 years later, they will still be able to see the footprints of the astronauts who went there first. There's no wind on the moon. There's no rain on the moon. There's no erosion on the moon. So those initial footprints that were placed in 1969 will still be there when we go back, which is the answer for the folks who are being awarded today. And in reality, it's the answer to all of us in this room, whether you're young or older, whether you're being honored today or not, whether you're a veteran leader or you're just starting out. It's the answer for all of us with what we should be doing. What should we be doing so that we leave a footprint that's as immense and as recognizable as those footprints on the moon? All of us should be wanting to do something that's as monumental as that, so that when we're gone, people will look back on it, they will still be able to see it and celebrate it. What are you doing in your profession? What are you doing in your life to have that kind of indelible impact? I'm going to share with you 5 quick things that jump out from the moon footprints really fast. Number 1, what made the moon landing so remarkable is that it had never been done before. It was unthinkable. They answered a question that until that time mankind had never been able to answer. They overcame a challenge that until that time no one had been able to accomplish. So then for you, what great challenge are you trying to answer? Regardless of what your sphere of work is, whether you work in education like us, or you're in business, or you're in community development, or you're in public administration or journalism, what great question are you trying to answer? What solution are you offering that nobody else has a direction on? That's how you leave a footprint like the one that was left on the moon. Which is easy because it leads right into the second point. The second thing that made the moon landing so remarkable is that they did not give up. They did not give up when it became easy. For you, for me, for all of us in this room, surely when we set out to do something big, when we set out to do something meaningful, we will encounter difficulty. It will be hard, I'm sure you know. But what sets us apart is that we don't give up. Think about this. Before they landed on the moon, prior to them, there were 6 Mercury missions, 10 Gemini missions, and 4 Apollo missions before the one that actually landed on the moon. They didn't give up. Or, while I was at the space camp in Huntsville, they gave us a little taste of what those astronauts had to go through in their training, in their preparation, and I would have gave up. I would have quit. There's just this, all of it's crazy, but there's this one exercise where they put these astronauts in this thing called a centrifuge, and they spin them around so fast. They're still on Earth, but it's preparation for what it feels like to fall back to Earth. They spin them around so fast until they throw up and then pass out. That's the goal of the exercise. Raise your hand if you want to go through that. I'm like, nah, I'll pass on that. But they did not give up. I remember the words of John F. Kennedy, President John F. Kennedy in 1961, when he stood on the steps of the Lincoln Monument and said on behalf of the country, "We choose to go to the moon and do many other things, not because it's easy, but precisely because it's hard." Anything worth doing will be hard. And as you think about what your next step is, what's the next chapter after today? I remember also the voice of my grandmother who said, "Casey, set your sights on big goals. And when you try to do something hard, put your hand to the plow and never move your hand. Never give up. Keep your head down and keep pushing." Don't let today be something simple. Let today be the springboard into what's next, and let what's next be huge. Let what's next be difficult, but commit today that when it gets difficult, you won't stop. The third thing that made the moon landing remarkable was that it inspired everyone. It inspired a whole country, if not a whole globe of people. A whole planet of people looked at the moon landing and said, "My God, if they can do that, then there's no limit on what I can do." Last year, I moderated the Georgia STEM exhibition for thousands of Georgia science teachers across the country. I was just the moderator, but my favorite thing to do was to introduce the keynote speaker. Stick with me, I'm going somewhere. The keynote speaker is a young lady named Tiara Fletcher. Tiara Fletcher is a young lady in her 20-something from Cobb County who is a graduate of MIT, who is now one of the leading engineers at NASA planning the trip to Mars. And I had some time behind the curtain backstage to chat with her before she went out there, and she said the same thing I'm telling you today, that she began to dream about being a NASA engineer after learning about the moon landing. What are you doing and what are you going to accomplish that's going to inspire young people to dream big? If they're going to ever have the confidence, the faith that they can do things huge, then they have to witness us attempting things huge. Find some young person to mentor. Surely, if you don't know anywhere else to find them, 15 of us are here ready to sign you up. We have 26,000 young people in need of mentorship, in need of help, in need of guidance. They need help in every sphere that you represent. Healthcare and business and public administration and whatever you represent in this room, we have young people who need guidance in those areas. What's next? If you want to have the kind of impact like those footprints on the moon, then you have to see that what you do is about more than just you. It's about inspiring the next. I only have 2 more points. It's quiet in here, and I don't know if what I'm saying is making sense or if everybody's confused or if it's the cheesecake. My next point is that we all can recall those notable words when Neil Armstrong stepped out of the capsule, placed his foot in the sand of the moon, and he said, you know it, that's one small step for man, one giant step for mankind. We attribute those words to Neil Armstrong because those are the words that he stated, but what we don't always remember is he didn't go by himself. It wasn't just him. Neil Armstrong was the first to set foot on the moon, but 3 astronauts made the trip. 3 astronauts made the trip, and 2 of them walked on the moon. When Neil Armstrong stepped out there, Buzz Aldrin was right there with him. My point to you is, if you're going to do something great, you can't do it by yourself. You need help. You need a buddy. You need a partner. You need to connect with the people who are going to push you, who are going to support you, who are going to encourage you, who are going to hold you accountable. The person you can bounce creative ideas off of, you need someone like that. Who is that person for you? And if you haven't found them yet, find them today by 5 o'clock. If you're going to do anything big, like those footprints on the moon, you can't do it by yourself. One of my favorite quotes says, if you want to go fast, then go alone. But if you want to go far, go together. Who are you bringing along? Because it'll be a waste of this acknowledgement if you do it all for yourself, to shine the light on yourself. Bring somebody along. Who is the other person in your area that wants to go as far as you are? Who wants to do as big as you're doing? And right before Sarah plays the music and they sweep me off the stage like they do at the Apollo, my last point is this. My last point is actually my favorite point. On their way back down from the moon, the United States of America had this brilliant idea that we should interview the astronauts still in the capsule. They hadn't even come back yet. They had just finished walking on the moon. They were in the capsule making their descent, coming back to the planet, and they patched into them and interviewed them live, and everybody listened. Well, I wasn't there. It was 1969. I ain't that old, but some of y'all, anyways, never mind. Let me not do that. 1969. But here's where I'm going with this. Neil Armstrong, being interviewed in the capsule on the way back down to Earth, had every right to say, I'm one of the greatest men ever lived because I'm the one who just did something nobody else has done. Everybody knows my name now, and they're going to he had the right to say all of that, and if he would have done that, he wouldn't have been wrong. But instead, what he said was, this accomplishment belongs to, you can read it. Go Google it when we leave here today. Neil Armstrong's words on the way back down. This accomplishment belongs to all of us. I want to thank the engineers who built the capsule. I want to thank the chemist who devised the rocket fuel. I even want to thank the seamstress who stitched our spacesuit. I'm paraphrasing. But he thanked all the people who had contributed. If you're going to do anything big, if you're going to do anything great, it's going to require the contribution of lots of people, and that means that the accomplishment will belong to lots of people. Neil Armstrong understood this, that everything he did was about building community. So as you think about what your next steps are, whether you're being awarded today or you're not, whether you're a veteran leader or you're just getting started, when you think about what you're going to do next, let it be about building community. Let it be about building everybody up. I love Douglasville. I love our little corner of the state. I love our little corner of the world. And I want to see it get better, and I hope all of you want to see it get better. So then let us all speak positively about Douglasville. Let us be courageous in our defense of Douglasville. Let us give all of our best resources and our most meaningful time towards investing in Douglasville. Let us do everything we can do to make our community better, our community stronger. How do you do that? Partner up in here. Develop a tribe. Maybe you came because you were being recognized, you didn't know any of the other people. Talk to the people at your table about what they do. Invest in United Way, like Breezy said. I'm sure the school system loves and needs many more partners in ed. Businesses who want to invest resources and time, but be like those astronauts and understand that what I do is about more than just me. It's about making the world a better place through building a better community. I've used all my time. But every time I look up at the moon and I think about those footprints up there that are always going to be up there, I think about me, I think about you, I think about us, and what will be our footprint on this world where we live. Do something that will leave a footprint like those footprints on the moon. And even if you can't get to the moon, do something that will leave a footprint like that on Douglasville. I love you. Congratulations to all of you.
Thank you, Casey, for taking time out of your busy schedule to be with us today. As a thank you for speaking, a contribution will be made in your name to the Chamber Board Scholarship, which funds a scholarship for graduating high school senior each year. I would now like to recognize many outstanding young professionals in our community. The Chamber's Advancing Modern Professionals in Douglas, or AMPT, program has a mission to attract emerging professionals to engage, develop, and serve Douglas County. AMPT combines personal and professional development through community service, professional and social activities. Today, we are celebrating many young professionals that have lived the true mission. The AMP Continuing Education Scholarship is designed for young professionals from Chamber member businesses or organizations seeking to continue their education on any level, whether pursuing a degree, attending a professional development conference, or simply returning to school for a refresher course designated to their profession. Our 2020 Continuing Education Scholars could not be here in person, but we would like to recognize them and say congratulations. Please join me in congratulating Mrs. April McCowan of the City of Douglasville and Brady Cook of the Douglas County School System. Up next, I would like to recognize our Next Gen Mentoring Program graduates. The Next Gen Mentoring Program connects ambitious young professionals with seasoned, high-level business leaders to support their professional and personal development. The group consisted of our mentor-mentee pairs, and I think it's safe to say that they learned some lifelong lessons and built some lifelong relationships over the last 8 months. Please join me in recognizing Ms. Emily Leitner with Cultural Arts Center and her mentor, Sarah Ray. Carly Lawson, Douglas County Chamber, and her mentor, Carla Beatles, who is not with us today. Should I invite everybody up? So as I call your name, I guess come up. All right. Sorry. All right, Jonathan Lupo, who is virtually with us today, Economic Development, and his mentor, Paul Zakos. LaQuisha Mungen, I hope I said that right. Not, I apologize. VLW Group and her mentor, Rita Facina Thomas. Allison Parker, City of Douglasville, and her mentor, Vonda Thorpe. Aaron Schwartz, I get this wrong every time, Zarowitz, thank you. The City of Douglasville and his mentor, Jeff Knowles, who I think has not made it yet. All right, then we got some awards.
Yeah, sorry.
Nope, you're good. I've skimmed over that, trying to get us back on time. Thank you, Paul. The pictures, oh, passing on. So I didn't like it like a ball. Congratulations. All right, applications will be out for the 2021 Next Gen Mentoring Program in the fall. Now it is my pleasure to present the 2020 Top 10 Young Professionals. The Top 10 Young Professional is an annual recognition for adults of the ages 21 through 40 who excel professionally as well as serve the Douglas County community. The selection process was highly competitive with over 30 applicants vying for the Elite Top 10 title. These 10 will be eligible for the Young Professional of the Year award given at the Winter Ball in February. Hopefully not virtual. We would like to thank our partner, the Douglas County Sentinel, for the Top 10 Young Professional Awards. Publisher Rachel Rainey partners with the Chamber to recognize our outstanding young professional in Douglas County. Please check out the Sentinel this weekend for detailed information on each of our winners. Rachel, will you please come forward for the awards presentation? And now the top 10. Please join me in congratulating these outstanding young professionals. Dr. Ronnie Bowler with Vital Life Chiropractic. Mr. Devitrion Caldwell with Douglas County School System. Of course I messed up your last name, right?
No, it's
Mr. Charles Camp with Greystone Power. Miss Monique Carruthers with Zest Preparatory Academy. Kayla Elliott with Raylin and Associates. Amy McCoy with My Hometown Realty. Blair Pilgrim McClure with West Georgia Board of Realtors. And Miss Erica Pullen with UGA Cooperative Extension, Douglas County. Joining us virtually today are the following young professionals. Miss Amy Barrow with United Way of Greater Atlanta, and Miss Katie Hilbert with Children's Voice CASA. Congratulations to all of our winners, and thank you again to our co-sponsor, Douglas County Sentinel. Now for our closing comments, so everybody can start looking at their phones. Sorry. United Way of Greater Atlanta has provided today's door prizes. Miss Breezy, would you please come forward for the draw of the prizes? Trying to think where she sat down at. Okay, no, I'm sorry. Welcome, Miss Nicole. That's all good. Okay. Six 647-091. 647-091. Six 647-114. 647-114. There we go. Six 647-189. 189. Thank you. Before I close, I'm going to go off script and mess with Sarah since she's given me such a long script today. As a fellow scientist and engineer, My brother spoke to me. See if I can get this out. What many people don't know about the moon expedition, which I love myself, so I think it was 3 master alarms went off within the last minute and a half of the landing, which means abort. While Control Central debated and had conversation on what to do, those astronauts took the stick from the controllers and landed on the moon. That's leadership. So that's all I got. I wanted to be an astronaut one day. I'll tell you the story about starting in aerospace and how that ended very quickly. All right, thanks again to Casey Bethel for us joining us today, and Creative Mischief and United Way of Greater Atlanta for sponsoring today's luncheon, and to our naming sponsorship, Greystone Power. Thank you. Y'all have a great day. Just under the wire.
So we have tested to be certified travel counselors to know about the state. And one of our